it's feasible for you, please do join us and we'll begin right after. Okay, I see that Param has joined us on camera. Thank you so much. Okay, I am still hopeful that more of you will do that. But all right, let's begin with the introductions. My name is Naindeep, everyone, and I'm here representing CLC Finishing School, which is Conscious Living Center's Finishing School. We offer accessible learning, and that is the purpose of these webinars. We hold them every week. Sorry, I'm going to put everybody on mute for now. Yeah. So we offer these sessions every week. We choose a topic, we do an introductory 45-minute live session, which is supposed to help you gain access to, an understanding, a deeper understanding of what the topic is all about, how you can start, implementing it or applying your learnings in your routine day-to-day tasks, and how it can really, really benefit you. But we do also offer full-fledged courses on all of these topics, so please remember that these are introductory sessions into the topics, and if you are interested in anything full-fledged, you can always reach out and we'll share more details with you. But I'm really glad that all of you could take out time today and be here with us for this really, really cool session on unconscious bias. So I'm sure all of you have a little bit of an understanding of what unconscious bias is, but even if you don't worry about it. Harshiin is going to take us through a lot of interesting content today. And this is going to be interactive. Okay. So I'm going to request all of you to please stay active on the chat window. Feel free to unmute yourselves and answer your questions and have fun. Okay. I hope this is fun for all of you. Thank you again for being here. Please do switch your cameras on because it makes sessions really, really amazing, really great, interactive, engaging, and helpful. So, all right, Harshiin, with that, I think over to you. Please do introduce yourself as the expert here, and we will then move forward.
Sure. Thank you, Nandi. Hi, everyone. My name is Harshiin, as Nandi has already mentioned. I'm a corporate trainer. I have about 12 years of experience, and my expertise lies in leadership trainings, in cultural trainings, and hence I bring you today one of those topics, which is my personal favorite, unconscious biases. Now, are you ready for a question? Okay. So I have a question for you, and here we go. So I have a friend whose name is Bob, and Bob is a car salesman, like a star car salesman, and he has a luxury car showroom which kind of sells cars like this. And today he has 4 people walk into his showroom, and I want you to tell me either unmute yourself and tell me, or if you're comfortable writing it in chat, tell me which of these 4 people is going to buy the car today, because someone did buy. I just want you to let me know which of the 4 people you think would have bought the car. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Yes. So I'm waiting on your answers. Think through and let me know who bought the car today.
I
It
think
all
my
depends.
biasness is saying the guy in the suit.
Okay, wow. All right. Naindeep says the guy in the suit or the lady in red. All right, fair enough.
I
Okay.
feel the person who is having money, but I cannot make out who is having money here among all the four.
What
Even the
do you
kids.
think, looking at them, that they have
Looking at
money?
them, maybe the man in the suit, or as he told, man in the suit or the lady in
It,
white
Okay.
or red
yeah,
Yeah,
dress.
she looks like old
the
money.
lady appears to be rich. Yeah.
Yeah, she looks like old money, right?
I like that. I like that. Yes. Anyone else? Okay.
Going by the fact that the cars are all sports cars, I think it's the girl wearing the jeans.
Okay, wow, that's different. Thank you there. Anyone else?
In
What
my
is
Probably
your...
the I think it's the guy in the suit only because he's saying, "Oh, I want that car."
Ah, okay, all right.
So my answer is the girl who is wearing white gown, white top, because it looks like she's already holding the key.
Oh,
Could be very interesting.
okay.
Uh,
Exactly.
Even I stand with Sudhakar answer.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. My next question to you before I move on to the other slide is what made you make these assumptions about them?
I think it
Mhm.
starts with the attire,
Yes, very well.
and the second one is their age group.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is amazing. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about. But first, let me reveal that any one of them could have bought the car. The girl in the left with the dress, she actually bought the car.
She's a
Okay.
rich father's daughter, maybe.
Absolutely. But when somebody would walk into the showroom, our perception of them would be based on how they look. The second would be how they talk to us. The third would be different things as we move on into the conversation and see who is going to actually buy the car. Now, what governs our assumptions is the little unconscious biases that our brain has because of some kind of previous experiences, some kind of previous um, things that we have heard that, a certain person would be like this, a certain person would be like this. Leave everyone. I'm a Punjabi. Yeah. What perception do you have of me before I opened my mouth?
Uh,
Fun.
Fond of
very
chicken, fond of
outgoing and
non-veg,
flashy.
Yeah, very
fond of
social,
non-veg.
food-loving people.
Oh,
Happy.
well, food loving I am.
Always get, Harshiin, one thing that I always get is Punjabis are very loud. So you must be very loud as a person.
Sadly, no, because I am into a profession like that, I am still not loud, but food person I am. So you see that when you look at people, when you even hear about people, you get kind of a certain perception because you've heard about them on social media, you've seen something in the news, you've even
Like,
seen someone with your own eyes or met them as well.
mm,
Yes, please, somebody was saying something.
like stereotypes, right?
Yes, the stereotypes, and that is exactly how do stereotypes start forming into our brain? It is because of the unconscious biases. Now, I could just talk about them like biases, or I could just say prejudices, but I choose to speak of them and define them as unconscious because a lot of times you and I may or may not even be aware that we're going through them, right? And I'll tell you how that happens in a while. But first, why don't you tell me that what is your perception about these people that you see on the screen? So if you have a positive perception, you can type P. If you have a negative perception, you can type N. And if you have a neutral perception, you can type NU. And you have it on the screen. So what is your perception about the first one? Who is in the first picture?
Einstein.
Einstein.
Absolutely. What is your perception of them?
Right?
Positive. Bingo. Positive. What is your perception of the second picture? The person in the second picture? Positive. The person in the third picture?
Neutral.
Okay. All right. The person in the fourth picture?
Negative.
Oh, see? Somebody would say positive.
He told negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The fifth picture,
Positive.
that's Mother
Positive.
Teresa.
Positive.
Yes. Okay. The last picture.
I heard some really, interesting story about Mother Teresa the other day. So my perception is no longer positive.
See? Now, you say that somebody for whose one person's perception is positive, it could be negative for the other person,
Mm.
right? For some people, we have an absolute positive perception. How do they, how are they formed? Because of a great public relation company comes into picture, they form an image, they show us everything good about them or everything bad about them. And that is how we know we like or dislike someone. Correct? And in real life, okay, these are social media people, but in real life, we don't really have PRs for people. The people themselves are their PR, and the things that we hear about them from other people are their PR, and that is exactly how we form an impression of a situation or a person. A bias in general as is defined as something, a belief system that is pre-existing or gets developed due to societal conditioning or your life experiences. It will influence your thoughts, your activities, your behavior, which can be either in favor or against the person or the situation. Now, biases can be conscious and unconscious, and I am here to talk about unconscious ones because a lot of times I come, I'll just talk about as an example, okay? Um, So this is a stereotype that we have. The place that I live in Delhi, and there is a stereotype about people living in West Delhi and living in South Delhi, right? Now, when I walked in for an interview for one of my organizations that I've worked for, the perception of me was exactly that I am loud, I can't speak English properly, how am I even applying for the position of a corporate trainer? You get it? Yeah. But when they sat for an interview with me, I was the only person selected for the job out of 25 other people who had come for an interview. Now, that is what actual shattering of perceptions is. Um, because that person had some beliefs that they were not aware of that made them think about these biases against me, right? I am going to take you through unconscious biases and have you realize it that we have biases that we are not even aware of. And I also got to know a lot during my journey as a corporate trainer. So let's get on with it. Now, there are a lot of biases that we experience on a daily basis based on our gender, based on education, income, your sexual orientation, your age, your culture, your ethnicity. My question to you here, I want you to take 30 seconds, I want you to take a minute, and I want you to ponder. Um, I know that we have been on the receiving end of a bias sometime. But today, I want you to think, have you been biased towards a person or a situation? I want you to take 30 seconds, 1 minute. It's absolutely okay if you don't want to share, but if you would like to share, I would love to know. You can type, you can unmute and let me know. And it's okay if you don't want to share. I wouldn't have shared maybe earlier with the group, but I'm glad that you're sharing.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was initially people who didn't know me. We
Hmm.
were staying in my childhood, I was staying in Madhya Pradesh. Then
Hmm.
after marriage, when I shifted to Bangalore, people
Hmm.
had a perception about me,
Hmm.
especially my cousins and all, and the way I dressed and all that. And I had
Yeah.
an MSc in physics. They thought I'm a very conservative, I don't know, very introvert type, not mixing type, not fun-loving type, a very
Absolutely.
serious personality. Actually,
Mhm.
you can ask Archana also. I'm exactly the opposite. I like fun-loving. Maybe I don't look like that, but people have a wrong perception of me when they actually come across me. It's a very wrong this.
Yeah, see, people, the first thing that people will judge you through
Yeah.
is absolutely from the way you look. I
Yeah.
have specs and people would think that I might be from IIT, but I'm not. So see, this is how you shatter. Madhuri, you have something to share with us.
Yeah, I think of late I have been noticing we are very, very biased against people coming from certain religious backgrounds. And that really bothers me. Things may have changed,
Yes,
but still my early memories of having interacted with those people has been very pleasant. Very, very
absolutely.
pleasant. Now,
Yes,
out of the blue, you are forced to face a new reality. And I don't know whether we are talking about fundamentalist in a particular religion, but I think even in our own Hindu religion, we are also more becoming more and more fundamentalist, and we have lot of biases against them. Some of the posts in the WhatsApp group is horrifying.
oh,
Any small
yeah,
incident they take and then they blow it out of proportion, and they expect you to agree with them. They expect you to forward those posts to other people. If you are a real Hindu, if you are this, if you are that, you better do it. It's almost like pressurizing us. And I think if we pass on these same kind of biases to the next generation, they are going to land up in major problems.
Agree.
very
Agree.
true. Yes. And tell me one thing, what are they trying to do by this? They're actually playing with your perception, correct? If you
Yes.
are not in a situation yourself, it is a perception being created for your brain to act in a certain way. That is
Yes.
exactly how our perceptions or our biases affect our thoughts, our actions, and how we behave, and a lot of it can also be unconscious. You're day in and day out reading those messages on WhatsApp, you're day in and day out listening to that kind of news. Somewhere, I am not saying totally, but somewhere for a split second, if a certain person comes in front of you from that background, you will have some bias towards them, right? And this is exactly how people over centuries, over years have played with human brains. So
Yes.
this is how biases actually affect us to the core. Asad, sir, I think you have something to say, share with. Did I take your name correctly?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Now, I missed the point. Your question was whether I have biases or whether I have ever faced biases. What was it?
Well, my question actually, because I know that we have faced biases, or if you've not, you've been very lucky. But my actually question was that have you been biased towards someone? If you look at the biases in on the screen, do you think that you have been biased towards a situation or a person based on any of these that you see on the screen? It's okay if you don't want to share. I get it.
No, 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 I have given the answer. My answer is never, and I stand by that. I have never been.
Okay. Okay,
Mhm.
good, good. That's amazing.
I think that's
Mhm.
brilliant.
Mhm.
Harshin,
Actually,
you're on.
yes.
You
Yeah,
will have to
sorry.
give it again.
Actually, that's exactly what I said. All right. I have a few questions for you. The first, I think a lot of you have answered. If you've not, I want you to take 30 seconds and ponder on these three questions. Have you been biased towards a person or a situation? Have you been at the receiving end of the bias, which I think most of us have at some point in time in our careers, in our personal life, in our interactions? How do you think we can reduce bias at work? Yes, okay.
By doing and acting in a way which makes them rethink their bias against us.
Absolutely. And what if you are biased about someone?
Then I think we need to be introspect, reflect,
Mhm.
observe their behavior, and see whether our bias is justified or not.
Absolutely. I'm going to come back to this slide in a second. I'm going to move forward to another slide because I have some questions I want you to quickly ponder and then I'll come back to it. Okay. Um, Now, I want you to think over these biases. Have you been biased towards someone or a situation based on any of these. I'm going to quickly explain all of these. And I want you to think side by side if you have ever behaved in a certain way towards a person or a situation. Because we're talking about unconscious biases, a lot of our thoughts and actions we know, but we don't understand where they are stemming from. So when I said that I'm going to talk about unconscious biases, I'm going to talk about the ones that affect your actions towards people, your thoughts, your behaviors, but we're not really consciously aware of them, right?
One of
Uh,
the yeah,
yes, Sudhir,
one of the
please.
things that I have, we call it instinct, but I think it falls in anchoring,
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
the first 3 seconds or 5 seconds, I do tend to form an impression of a person, and
Very nice. Yeah.
then maybe my actions change, and which ends up confirming whatever impressions I had. So what I have realized is not always that person being the way I thought that person was, but actually our actions changing because of a bias.
Absolutely. And this is an amazing example to think upon. Um, when we say that first impressions are last impressions, I tend to differ a little on it because our first perceptions would be based on how somebody looks, the makeup, the way that they speak. But when they actually get to work, you may be disappointed by them a lot of times. Yeah. And I am not saying here, that is why I moved on to this slide. This slide is very important. I'm what I'm trying to say here is that I'm not saying your instincts are wrong or it's bad to have instincts. They're absolutely amazing. But sometimes you have to step back and think the instinct was actually an intuition, or it was a bias which was unconsciously present, but when you actually met someone, it came through, right? Let me give you a quick example. Let me first quickly explain these. A beauty bias could be based on the physical attributes, how a person looks, um, which can be according to their religion, according to their beauty, the makeup they put on, the clothes they put on. Affinity bias, as the word suggests, they belong to the same school, the same native place, the same town. We're all human beings, okay? We tend to feel that affinity towards people. Halo effect would be when you are basically influenced by a specific trait in a person. A very simple example could be somebody who does something really good, and now they are kind of this. You have this kind of a god image of that person. Oh wow, they're like experts, they do everything correctly, even when they don't do their work properly, even when they're falling short of that perception, you still don't think of them in that light. They are still the best people. Horn's effect is kind of the opposite. People do everything great, but one little thing that they do bad, and then they are in the bad light, right? Uh, oh, yes, well, he's my favorite hero. But yes, you get the point that, this is the perception that has been created about him. Similarity, anything that I find similar in my nature, and I find similar in maybe Param's nature or Arti's nature, and that is how I kind of find an affinity towards them. Confirmation, um, I join a new organization and I have a perception about Nandi, right? I'm using the word my assumption or perception. And when I talk to Param or maybe Aarti or Uday, they kind of have the same perception of her. So I think this is true. And that confirms my bias, right? And anchoring, as Uday has already mentioned, uh, heavily based on first impressions, not giving that person another chance to change your perception, which can also lead to a halo effect or a horns effect. How? If you first thought, for example, Uday meets me, if he first thought that Harshiin is like the best person for this job, amazing in her conversation skills, etc. But even if I make all the mistakes day in, day out, he's not ready to change that perception, which is the halo effect. Yeah. And if the opposite happens, it might turn into a horns effect. Yeah. So they kind of affect us unconsciously, but before I actually read about them, I had no idea that I'm going through a horns effect. Somebody was making a lot of mistakes at work. Um, it was actually affecting my work also. But even when they did work well, I was not ready to change my perception about them. I was like, this is like a one-off situation, but they are like that only. They're not an achiever, etc. about them. So, we all go through these biases. So today, I want you to think through what are some of these biases that you are going through, because that is when the change starts happening. We all know that somebody was like this towards us, but don't you think sometimes unconsciously we are also exhibiting a certain bias towards someone? Yeah. So I want you to take 30 seconds and think through. And it's okay if you don't want to share, but I would love to know if you think you are going through any of these biases, or you've been you have exhibited them towards a certain person or a situation. And this is absolutely unconscious. So it's okay if you've never thought you did that. Yes, Madhvi, please go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes what happens, even before the something happens where, for no fault of that person, you have developed a wrong opinion about them, and
Absolutely.
that stays in your mind, and then later you wonder why, because there's hardly anything negative vibes, nothing coming out of the person, but still, why is it that no, you took an instant dislike to them? There's no explanation for that. Or
Yes,
sometimes an instant liking for somebody, no explanation for that.
uh, absolutely.
I
I
feel
just
like
want to,
that.
yeah, and I totally agree with you. And I want you to think on this little point here, that the problem here is, I know we all have intuitions, right? But the
Yeah.
problem here is when that intuition changes into a bias and we're not aware of it, right? I can have a certain intuition about Param, Aarti, Madhvi, anybody, and that's okay. But the problem becomes when it starts negatively affecting me, it starts affecting my interaction with that person. If I have to work with them day in, day out, I can't let my biases work. My intuition is fine. So, this is where you kind of tread this little line of when you have an experience of 15-20 years, you meet so many people, you do get the right perception about a person when you see them. Okay. I would like to give credit to experience here, but along with experience does come a lot of beliefs or that you've gathered over those years. So don't let your unconscious biases play. Experience, intuition is totally fine, but not the biases. So it is for you here to discern this difference if something is negatively affecting your interactions with a situation or a person. Yeah. Nandi, do you have
Yeah.
something?
I actually wanted to share an example. I am a short-heighted person, right? So I'm not very tall. And so when I would walk into a room as a corporate trainer, a lot of times I'd feel that I have to work extra hard. I had this bias against myself for a while, that I have to work extra hard to make sure that people are listening in and I'm making everything interactive and helpful for people. Now, the second I would find someone else who was similar to me, who was short-heighted, is working in the learning and development space, I realized I was quickly making friends with them, but maybe I had a bias against other people, even if they weren't really doing anything wrong. And I'm sharing this as an
Absolutely.
example, but this is applicable in so many other ways. So at first I was making friends, so it was working in my favor, the similarity bias, right? But after a while I realized that it's actually working against me. So there has to be a line differentiating when the bias is working in your favor and when it's really affecting you and your life, right? And negatively affecting.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. Because having an opinion, a little bias is okay. The problem occurs when it starts negatively affecting you, right? So I would like you to like take some time to discern that difference and then move on into your interactions. Now, quickly, when biases,
I wanted to give one example,
yes,
if you could
please.
go back, for affinity, right? So that is a challenge that I have always faced
Mm-hmm.
of, you're in a corporate boardroom. One person is from IMB, the other person also turns out to be IMB. Then you're excluded from the conversation. So
So
this affinity works a lot in your favor if you're in the right circles,
Yeah.
if you're from the right brand names or whatever, but it becomes doubly hard where
Yes.
if it's not the same. Like I was checking out your profile, I saw your Delhi University English honors, which I am as well. So immediately I have an affinity,
Yeah. See,
right?
and
Right. So, but
yeah. Please go ahead.
when you
Sorry.
are on the other side, it. So I think you have to be, as a person, you have to be sensitive about not making the other people feeling left out when these
Absolutely.
conversations happen.
Yes, and that is exactly what I meant. We're all human beings, and all these feelings and thoughts that we have in our first impressions or looking at people or having this affinity is absolutely normal. Of course, I will feel a certain affinity with a person who is my age. Of course, I'm going to feel a certain similarity with someone who is educated on the same level and may not feel that with someone who's educated far more than me, etc. But my problem will be when I start letting that affect my work, my interactions. If I feel someone is superior to me or I am superior to someone, then everything goes for a toss. So the whole point of this having being aware of unconscious biases is to not let that little line go blur and actually get the difference. So when biases occur, they can actually affect you in a lot of negative ways. Madhuri, I'm going to come to you like in a second.
Yeah.
Um, and then when these happen, it is going to affect your team dynamics. People may not be as harmonious towards each other. It is going to reduce your efficiency because there is lack of trust and collaboration. If I have a haunt effect, a bias towards someone, I'm not coming out of it even if they're doing everything right now. And if I am a leader, it is even more worse. Don't you think? Yeah. And based on this, it of course affects your whole culture, your innovation because you're not happy at work. Then you lack motivation, unclear communication amongst members, lack of diversity. Because if you're a leader or you are in that position, you're not going to encourage diversity because you have a affinity bias with someone, you have a similarity bias with someone. So it actually starts from the very foundation of doing things, which we may or may not realize a lot of times, right? uh, and then poor decision making, anxiety and trauma because of that, no problem solving, and unnecessary judgment. You see how something that we may not be consciously aware of is affecting so much of our work, is affecting so much of our decisions, right? Um, so I want you to ponder after today's session what biases affect you because they're unconsciously, consciously affecting your behavior and your interactions with people. Madhvi, please go ahead.
I also want to point out that if you are on the other side of the fence, where
Hmm.
somebody is biased against you and you know
Yeah.
that it is wrong, but still, no matter what you do, they are not going to change their mind. That can be extremely frustrating, very, very frustrating if you're in a work environment and you are doing your best, but still, it's not
Yes.
appreciated and all that. And it can be very demotivating at workplace or even in personal relationships also. If somebody is very biased against you, and no matter how much you try to put in the effort and try to make the relationship work, but if it doesn't work because the person is biased no matter what. And some people have black and white thinking,
Yes.
just black and white thinking.
Very nice.
And what do you do if with the biases, then with people who have black and white? And there are people also who are carried away by the facade that people project, the fakeness.
Absolutely. Yes.
How do you differentiate there? You spoke about intuition. Yes, I agree. You also spoke about clarity. All of us will have certain amount of clarity in our mind. But what do you do with the fake people?
That is
People,
yeah.
yeah. It's a tough thing, to distinguish between the genuine people and fake people. Today, everybody seems to be putting on different, masks and roaming around, either for surviving or whatever, I don't know. But everything seems to be projection and,
Yes.
then what do we do with those biases?
So here I would like to say something that is why the talks of diversity of biases has become so common even at workplaces, so open on social media as well. Now that today you have made a decision to attend something like this, you're aware of yourself, right? There's only so much we can do about how other people want to learn for themselves. But since you have learned it for yourself, I think all we can do is do our bit in the
Yes.
best possible way, right?
Yes.
And when you talk about the mask that people are wearing, trust me, when you become aware of all of this, your interaction with them will be, I'm lacking short of a particular word, but your interaction with them will be like peaceful. This is not the right word, but since you are able to gauge what's happening, that's the whole point of it. And there's only so much we can do about how people want to evolve and learn, right?
Yes.
We can do it for ourselves, encourage people, our teams, our leaders, our mentors, our friends to go through all of these talks or educate themselves on such topics so they don't make the same mistakes. But yeah, I think that's
And
about it.
one more thing on affinity. I
Hmm.
have developed affinity for you and the other person because I am also from the same literature background.
See,
And there's
yes,
a comfort.
that's absolutely human. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
that's
a
so
comfort.
human.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely there is. But if it starts affecting you that only Harshiin and Naindeep are right and nobody else in the room, that's when the problem occurs. And it's
Yeah.
absolutely human thing to do to feel a similarity or an affinity towards someone,
But
and it's totally fine.
we are also willing to
Mhm.
take all the different
Look,
kinds of experiences
yes.
and people and assimilate it into our life and evolve.
Actually, that is what is required. That is what we're trying to do through these sessions. That, okay, but you have to step off that boundary and look more towards people, look forward or look ahead of those limitations as well, right? And
Yeah.
when we talk about how we can get rid of these unconscious biases, we have conscious biases as well, right? But these unconscious ones that are affecting our thoughts and behaviors, first of all, learning what unconscious biases are, or I would say in a very simple language, the strategy of 4 A's. It's the same thing that was on the previous slide. Acknowledge that there is a bias, right? Unconscious because we don't even acknowledge that we have a bias. So, acknowledging, you don't have to share it with everyone, but you need to know something is affecting you. Then, affecting what your biases are. Do you go through a halo effect? Do you go through a horns effect? I go through a halo or a horns effect on a daily basis. And it becomes so difficult for me to sometimes interact with my team members because I am like this achiever who wants everything to be perfectly done, which is a problem again. But you see how that kind of affects my interaction with people. Then act on making a change. If now you're aware, the first, the 50% of job, is done when we become aware that we have a bias towards someone, right? So, next time when you're interacting, your brain is automatically going to tell you, this is a bias. So you try to move on to like a step ahead of that. And then assess after you've learned about these biases, you've accepted yours. Now assess if how this is making a change in your interactions. Right? Yes, Nandi.
Sorry, just wanted to point out that Mahesh and Aarti wanted to share something. I think we missed out on listening to that.
Oh, yes, yes. No, I did not miss out. I just wanted to quickly complete that. Mahesh, sir, please go ahead.
It was a very nice and informative discussion on bias. Now, one more major aspect is just realizing what your biases are is an important aspect.
Absolutely.
Also, using the knowledge about bias to promote yourself. For example,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
for example, when you are going to a party, dress up like a party guy. When you are going to an
Very
office, dress
nice.
up like an office guy.
Very nice.
Yesterday, I was going to a passport office. I went in a very all highly professional and went there. Okay, and yes, they give a particular respect. They say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, go. While I was seeing people who had come in a slightly shabbily dressed, they were not. Please sit there, this there. So it is knowledge about knowing a bias or what the biases are. We should always, according to me, try also from our side that we don't stand apart in a negative way.
Yes.
आप
Yes. Yes.
फॉर्मल ड्रेस
Absolutely.
लेके डिस्को पार्टी में जाओगे तो बैस तो लगेगा और दूसरे का बैस को गलत बोलना भी गलत है मेरे हिसाब से.
Use them to your advantage as well. See?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
what I
Yes.
Totally,
wanted to say.
totally agreed with that. Very good
Very,
point. If
very
the
true.
biases are trying to control us somewhere, let's try to control them as well. Very good. So, to finish off, let's be aware of our own biases, right? Let's acknowledge what is the like that there is a bias, then accept what your biases are. It's very important. If you don't accept, then it's the same way, and then act on making a change in your interactions, and then assess if the change has been made or it has made a difference to you. So acknowledge, accept, act on it, and then assess the difference that that makes. Yeah. And with this, I think I am above time. So thank you so much. That was it from my side. Do you have anything to ask more on this? Any thoughts that you would like to share?
I think we need to ponder.
Oh,
Ponder
absolutely.
whatever you have said now. It's a
Yeah.
takeaway. Yeah. Thank you so much. Now, consciously, we will be conscious about our biases.
Absolutely. And I must add here that before I researched on unconscious biases, I've only heard the term I had. Sorry, I'm taking your little time, but I think my own experiences could also help because this was all very new to me. But when I actually started researching, I realized that I myself have so many biases. I got to know that I had friends at work and I was working very peacefully with them. But as soon as a new person would join my team, I would have some kind of a problem, and I could not pinpoint. I I might not have been uh, if they were if I were a mentor to them, I would not give them good feedback. If there was a small mistake, I would make it a huge deal. Even when my mistakes in my initial stages of work were ignored, accepted, and I was given so much time to learn, I did not give that to other people. And then when I was researching unconscious biases, I realized that I have so many biases. So I realized that people will make mistakes at work. This is part of their learning. I need to be patient, and I am going through like a Horn's effect that this person cannot do anything in their life. I had so much affinity bias, similarity bias, honestly, with the people from the same religion because I don't see a lot of people from the same religion at my workplace. So even if they were one or two, I would feel that kind of similarity or affinity with them. And that really affected my work. So I think before this, I was never able to pinpoint my problems, and this really helped me in my relationships with people. And I think relationship is what eventually turns into trust, then collaboration, then better organizational cultures, and so on. So that's about it. Thank you so much for being so patient with me, listening to me, and I hope this really helped. Any questions, any last going away thoughts?
I think it was a good refresher for me because
Mm-hmm.
I have studied behavioral finance, and we were taught about a lot of biasness, like before taking any investment decisions, if we want to foray into taking any investment decisions in our careers or in our personal lives as well. So yeah, it was a good refresher, and I'm planning to do a lot of other sessions on behavioral sciences. So if in case you guys are coming up with new sessions, that would be really grateful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Param. Naindeep, over to you. Ziad, Naindeep, can I take like a quick
Yeah,
second
yeah,
to help
sure,
Ziad with
please.
his question? Ziad, I'm gonna move back to that slide so it helps you understand the biases again. Okay. When we talk about similarity, any similarities, yeah, I'm talking about. For example, if I am from the same college, so similarity and affinity can sound a little same. Basically, if just like Nandeep mentioned about her height, if I see somebody, I'm also a short-heighted person. So if I see someone who's short-heighted, I kind of feel a little more genuinity towards them as compared to somebody who's not with my someone who's taller than me. So that is the kind of similarity that you, and then maybe if I am a leader, I'm trying to give them a lot of leeway in discussions, and I'm not letting anybody else who might actually have a lot of information on a discussion or a topic. Then when I talk about affinity, just like I mentioned that somebody from the same religion or somebody from the same college, same native place can I can have that kind of affinity. Oh, he's from my place or she's from my town, etc. And anchoring bias would be I meet you for the first time and I think that, and maybe, for example, Aarti meets me for the first time. I come for a role of a corporate trainer. My hair are all shabby, no makeup, not properly dressed. She's going to think, how is she going to train people on how to dress properly when she is not dressed properly? Yeah, so that is, and and even if I do better, she's still on her anchoring bias because of the first impression, right? And when I talk about confirmation bias, I have a opinion about someone. I meet Nandeep, I meet Param. They also have the same opinion about someone, even if it is not true. And that is how I confirm, okay, whatever I'm thinking is absolutely true. So this is how the bias, and I know this happens a lot. So this is how the biases are defined and they work. I hope this answered your question. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much from my side. And over to you, Nandy.
Thank you so much, Harshiin. I'm gonna stop your
Yeah.
screen sharing so
Yeah.
that everybody can see us. Thank you so much, everybody, for being
Thank you.
here. I am so glad that we had this conversation, this discussion, and the way all of you participated made it more interactive and helpful. So, I'm only going to close with a couple of thoughts about what CLC does and how you can be a part of our mission. Okay, CLC is, like I said before, Conscious Living Center. We want to make sure that you and I are conscious about the decisions we're taking in our everyday life, and this is in terms of our personal lives and development, but also business decisions, workplace related trainings, right? So we can partner with you to help you accelerate your learning. And starting with these sessions and webinars, like I said, we do these on a weekly basis. So if you haven't been added to our WhatsApp group yet, let me know and I will make sure you're there. so that you can get all information about our upcoming courses, about our upcoming webinars, and you're informed. Okay. If there's anything else that you'd like to share with us, like, Param mentioned a couple of more sessions. If we're ever going to have them, he'd love to join in. Let us know if you have any other recommendations, anything else that you're looking forward to, and we'll try to bring that content to you. Okay. And with that, I think I'm going to close the session with a note of thanks and gratitude to Harshiin. Thank you so much for taking this session. I think it was very helpful and all of us enjoyed, right?
Yeah.
So
Thank
thanks
you,
for
Harshiin. It
Yeah,
was
when I
really
saw
you.
this topic, especially, I was very curious. So on how you're going to explain this or this, it was very nice.
Thank
Uh,
you.
so we could all
Yeah.
enjoy and
Thank you, sir.
understand what is
It has set
unconscious
us,
bias.
yeah,
Thank
it
you
has
so
set
much.
some thinking. Thinking is going to happen now
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way. Yeah,
As
yeah.
Madhuri told, most of the
Yes.
people actually they are black and white. Now I think I always tell everybody, everybody is gray. There's nothing like
Yes.
black and white. Everybody have got their positive and negative sides. We are all gray.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
You've been so interactive, and I think that is what makes it a success, not just me speaking. So thank you so much.
Very well
Thank,
presented. Very well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
thank you, ma. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
With that, let's close the session. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I hope to see all of you very, very soon.
Bye,
Thank you, guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Yeah,
Hey,
bye.
Asad ji, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.